responsibility to the poor, the oppressed? Explain your answer. I think everyone has a responsibility to help others. Well, especially in the society that we're in today, not only do we have a social contract with the government, like, oh, we give up some of our power so that you help us, but like ethically and morally, I believe that we are supposed to help those that need help. Just like how we as a collective humanity, we only thrive as a community, so we must care for that community. It's actually been scientifically proven that when we are isolated, we are in detriment. So we have to take care of those around us, especially those that are more fortunate. So that's my belief. And also, Jesus did the same, and we should follow his example. Okay.
Do we have a responsibility to the poor, the oppressed? Explain your answer. Yes, I believe that we have a responsibility to the poor and the oppressed because in the Bible, with the analogy of the rich man who wanted to get to heaven and Jesus told him he had to give his entire fortune away to the needy, and he didn't want to because of the spirit of greed. I believe that because those are also God's children, and God said to take care of his disciples and stuff like that. So I believe that we have a responsibility to take care to those who are less fortunate. If we can, we should be able to give back to our community. So we can also be blessed as well. You know, give to not receive, but give because it's the right thing to do.
Good afternoon. It's Lou. All right, so today's question is, how does Jesus serve as an example building his community? For example, right, let's say I'm trying to build a community. I want to have certain people around my community that's not going to mess up, that's going to make the community be even greater than what it was last time. You feel me? So, for example, let's say I got young children growing up in the community and stuff like that. I don't want the children to be up in the game banging and killing people and doing all that other stuff. I want the children to become people that, you know what I'm saying, just like other people. You could become a trade, you could go to college, you could play ball, you could play whatever. As long as there's nothing that's going to make you end up in debt or in jail. So that's the same way about Jesus, though. Jesus picked up 12 disciples, and they came with him, and he built a community from there. So that's why it says, how does Jesus serve an example for building a community? So that was my purpose for building a community, if I had to build a community just like Jesus.
Next question. Oh, this is long. Acts 4, verse 34 to 35 says that during this time, no one was needy as believers sold their homes and brought the profit to the apostles. These profits were distributed amongst the group. What do you think of this? I think selling your home is a bit much, but I like this because it's a great example of mutual aid. So they pulled all their money and gave it to the prophets, and it was distributed amongst the group. I don't think you necessarily need to do something as extreme as that to help the group, but it was a way to do it. I think we need a little more selflessness like that today, where we're willing to sacrifice what's essential to us. In that case, their homes. I don't know where they lived afterward. The profits were distributed amongst the group. So I'm assuming they still had a place to stay, even though they gave up their homes. But I think, I think this is a great example of mutual aid in the Bible. I like how it was distributed amongst the group. I think that we should be more selfless like that. Take action to help those around us, even at our own expense, and trust that we will survive as a collective and not as an individual. I think it takes a very strong mindset of knowing that we will be there for each other to do something of this length. I can't imagine it happening in today's society, but I think this is a great, and yeah. Okay.
Is it important to have a community? If so, why? If not, explain. I think it is very important to have a community. Actually, I feel like having a community, it encourages you, it helps you, it gives you foundation in life, to have those you love around you to help you build yourself up. So I do think that everybody should have their own little community.
Is it important to have a community? If so, why? If not, explain. I do think it's important to have a community because I feel like in a community you can relate to other people and connect with people who they don't have to necessarily be like-minded, but you see different interests. And also, if you may be in need, community can help each other out and all of that. So I do think it's important to have a community.
What are some examples of communities that you're in?
Well, I go to church and I'm in the technology team. I consider that a community because we work together to kind of convey what church is about and get our media online. Another community I'm in is band at school, where we all have a passion for music. We perform together, march, and do many other things. So.
All right, back. Let's see. It's a big one. If you could improve one thing in your church community, what would you improve?
Good one.
It's a really good one. I feel like as a community, we need to be more connected. Like with announcements, with being able to communicate with the youth, vice versa with the elders. I'd also improve spreading the message, because like the message is not really like resonating to like the youth, because the elders know it because they already went through it, but the youth, like they're more on like social media, worrying about what the next person's thinking about. So community wise, like we shouldn't be as like selfish like with the outside world. Like the outside world, they need more attention than us.
Last question, guys. Okay. If you could improve one thing in your church community, what would you improve? Maybe I would improve our attitudes towards certain things, stigmas, cultural beliefs. Well, you can't really change a cultural belief, but I think maybe stigmas towards like mental health, towards those that are different from us. The church is like a hospital, and we're supposed to have open arms to the sick. But in the healthcare system, you'll also find that most of the nurses and the doctors don't like their patients or talk bad about them. And you could also find that at the church. I think what we really need to work on is serving and being there for the sick wholeheartedly. The people that come in, no matter what their situation is, we were probably very similar to them. I think another thing that we forget is how alike we are in our struggles, in our triumphs as well. So I think instead of having prejudice and sort of standoffish relationships with people that come in just because, oh, I'm holier thou art than you, we should change that attitude. We should be like a genuine hospital. We should follow how Jesus was able to sit and eat with sinners and not in the back of his mind think, oh, you smell or you look a certain type of way. I also think that we should extend that grace outside of the gates of the church, and that it's not only for those that come into the hospital and that come in, but sometimes you have to go out. That's why we have people like the Red Cross who goes to different nations. I think we should be praying for those that are literally in our neighborhood, regardless if they come in or if they don't, regardless if they're Adventists or if they're not. We should be praying for those and doing stuff for those outside of our hemisphere as well. We see that there's many wars going on. There's been a genocide going on for almost 3 years, and I've only heard a couple prayers in the church about it. And I think that's something that we really need to change. We need to open our scope, open the hospital, not to just those inside the hospital, or say people that are like in our community, the nationalities that we are, and expand that love, because Jesus would too, and it's just a nice thing to do. It's a Christian thing to do.